our episode on pizza. It has been a full day. We've got our pizza dough. If you remember, we covered it up and we stuck it in the fridge and we did an overnight proof. And as you can see, it has at least doubled in size, if not a little bit more. So I'm going to let this rest for a couple minutes while we get set up. We've got all the necessary pizza fixins that we've got to do. I think on the last segment I showed the pizza stone that we've got. Again, you don't need a bunch of specialized equipment. We picked this pizza stone up. It was inexpensive. I'm going to go ahead, because it takes a while for the oven to get hot, obviously. I'm going to start preheating the oven. So 450, pizza stone in the middle. I don't have a, what do you call it? The thing with the thing, you stick it in the thing. It's got a name. I totally forget what it is. It's on the tip of my tongue. In any case, I don't have one. A pizza spade, something like that. I'm just using a cookie sheet, and I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to use the same sort of technique, and we're going to use some cornmeal to make sure that it doesn't stick. But I'm going to set this aside for now to give us some space. And I've got, if you watched spaghetti meatballs, I've got our marinara here. So it's the same homemade marinara that we made. It makes for a very good pizza sauce. I have got some various ingredients for the family. In our family, we are all very picky people when it comes to pizza, and we all get our own pizza because we can't share. So we're gonna split this into 3 different pizzas, and I think I explained that before. It's enough to make 3 small personal pizzas. We've got a few different ingredients here. We've got mushrooms, number 1, because I am in love with mushrooms and I like them on lots of things, especially pizza. I've got some pepperoni. You can usually find this in the lunch meat aisle at your store. Lots of different versions. My son really likes the kind, I forget what they're called. They're like little curled up pup-ups, something like that, where they curl up. These are just plain pepperoni. I'm gonna put both on mine. But and then I've got some pineapple chunks. Sometimes the pineapple pineapple punks, these dang punks, chunks are a little bit too large for pizza. So if you can find that these ones are called tidbits, they're a little even smaller. I find they're a lot better for pizza. If you like pineapple on your pizza, I know it's a big controversy, so I will leave that up to you. I'm not going to debate that on the show. I do not welcome any of the comments. I do not eat pineapple on my pizza typically. On occasion I have been known to, but it's not one of my go-tos. So that, and I got a big bag of cheese here. And the reason I just went with a big bag of cheese, you can totally do fresh mozzarella. You know, we might even do a show at one point where we make our own. I actually haven't done that yet, but I always wanted to. But you can get some mozzarella, maybe some Jack, some Parmesan. This was, I do find that a nice blend of different cheeses. So this was already a pre-mixed blend of mozzarella, provolone, Parmesan, and Romano. So I find a little variety in those cheeses makes a better pizza, right? A little variety of flavors in your cheese. Go with whatever you like. I don't think, again, this is pizza. This is what you want. You know, especially if you're going to make it at home. Do whatever. Use cheddar. Use goat cheese. Whatever you want to do. I think that's the fun part of this. So, what I'm going to do first is spread some flour out on the counter. We got to roll this dough out. So, and don't be afraid. Sprinkle it all. This is when you know, I held up doing any kind of baking or bread for many years, because this just makes my OCD flare up, and I just can't handle it sometimes. But I'm getting past it. I'm working on myself. I'm bettering myself as a person. You know, embracing change and new things. So that's me. Now we're gonna do what they call a punch down. It's kind of puffed up. I'm just gonna kind of poke it. You can kind of hear it a little bit. You can see it kind of sort of deflates. So I'm gonna take it out here. It is a little sticky. I probably should have used a little olive oil in the bowl, but it's fine. I'm gonna do sort of roll it into this thing, and I'm gonna cut it into 3 portions. This is just a dough scraper. If you do any baking, you probably have one of these. You could use virtually anything. I'm just using this because it's easy and it won't damage the counter. If you're going to use a knife or something, make sure you have it on a cutting board. You do not want to cut your nice counters. So I'm going to portion these out in roughly thirds, since there are 3 of us. We all want our own pizza. Okay, stick these aside. What you kind of have to do is smash it out. The trick to rolling out your dough is you don't want to be going back and forth, otherwise you just end up smashing it in. You kind of want to always go out towards, from the middle of the dough out. Now, this can get tricky, and sometimes the dough doesn't cooperate, and it always wants to kind of snap back. So what you kind of have to do is you might have to take this by hand and just stretch it out a little bit by hand for it to kind of give it a little head start. Now, you might be thinking, that's not round. It's not. It's right now a triangle or a heart or whatever. It's going to end up to be some sort of oblong shape later on. And you know what? I don't really care. It's fine. If you want it perfect, I recommend you try to cut these into round portions. But I kind of like the look of them when they are all irregular. As my wife would say, they are perfectly imperfect. And so I kind of like, it gives it sort of a rustic pizza-like feel. So I'm just going to stretch this out again. This is the part when you can start to throw this out. I have attempted that many times. I think it really only works well if you're dealing with a large piece and you really need that extra centrifugal force for it to spread out. But I haven't had much luck with that. So just kind of do your best to stretch it out. Dough can be a little tricky, and admittedly I am not an expert by any means. This is just me sharing my experience and passion for food. So sprinkle some cornmeal right on the cookie sheet. Don't be afraid. Make sure you get it all on there. And really, what you want, the trick is, make sure when you put this on here that it slides around on its own. See that? That's what you want. If it doesn't do that, you won't be able to get it off this thing easily, and then you'll make a big mess when you go to slide it onto the pizza stone. I'll show you later. I've gotten fairly good at it. I've got probably 90% success rate. Sometimes it does what it does, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's that. So that one I'm going to make for my son. He likes pepperoni only, so we'll take our marinara. Just kind of like a little goes a long way, so I kind of just like to get it all on there, and then like to spread it around. It still has some chunks in it, which is fine. Just make it as even as you can. You might feel the urge to make it perfect. I know I do, but it will not be perfect, and that is fine. It looks kind of messy, but it will end up just fine. As it gets hot, it will kind of spread out evenly. If you want, you can roll little edges on it to make a crust, but I don't really enjoy eating the crust that much, so I don't do it. Time for the cheese. Again, whatever cheese you want. This is just a pre-mixed pizza blend. Sometimes I will do my own. I just saw this in the supermarket and I thought, you know what, I like that. It is less work. I'm going to go for it. And that way I know I have an ample amount of cheese since it's a fairly big bag. Now, in my opinion, But if you put too much cheese on this, it will kind of ooze out. So you got to be careful about how much cheese. A little will go a long way. So do as you will. Some pepperonis here. Just kind of place them wherever. You like. I usually kind of just try to fill in all the little spaces that there are. There we go. I'm going to place this over here, get it out of the way while we wait for the oven to preheat. In the meantime, I'm going to start with the mushrooms. I know I usually edit this stuff out, but while we're waiting for the stuff, it makes a good time to do these kinds of things. Talk about the mushrooms. I like to use brown mushrooms. You can use white mushrooms. I find brown mushrooms just have a little bit more earthy flavor, and I kind of like that. I'm also going to commit a huge faux pas right now and wash these mushrooms. I know there's a lot of debate, maybe not even a lot of debate. I think the consensus is, especially by the culinary community, that you shouldn't wash your mushrooms. You should use a little brush. They're covered in dirt. I don't have a little brush. You're not supposed to wash them because they absorb the water. I find that it's not that big a deal. And as I said, one of my favorite, or rather my favorite celebrity chef has done an experiment on this, and the water that they do absorb is negligible. So I don't really care. I'm going to wash them. Okay. Now, you can go ahead and cut them if you want. I like to dry them off. So I'm just gonna throw them all right here in the towel. We have a lot of these towels. We go through them a lot. So if they get a little dirty, it's okay. I'm just gonna kind of put them in here and then kind of give them a little, make sure they have a chance to dry off. Dry off the cutting board. And voila. Mushrooms on the floor. But you know what? They were grown in the dirt. Dirt don't hurt. Give them another quick rinse. Dry it off. Good as new. Or good as whatever. Nice little chopping knife. Okay, we're back. The oven is preheated. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in. Try to time all this correctly. I need the cornmeal ready to go. So you try to do this fast so that you don't let all the heat escape. You're going to let some heat escape. There's only so much you can do in life, so don't sweat it too much. Pull this out. Make sure I get a good covering on here. You do not want your pizza to stick to this thing. Take a cookie sheet. Sat on it a little too long, as you can see. My 90% success rate is not doing so great. Just be careful when you do this. I know I did this without a glove. It's okay. I like to take risks. That size pizza, anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes. I usually find right around 10 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for 8 minutes. And we will get started on our next pizza. Now, you also don't want to make it too big, because then it won't fit on your pizza stone, or it won't fit on your it's gonna come to me, I promise. Pizza spade, whatever that's called, if you have one. Remember, judge her, please. I have tried my hardest to talk her out of many bizarre pizza toppings. You can put virtually anything on pizza, although I feel like some things just don't belong on pizza. Pineapple, but if you're from California like me, you might even throw broccoli on it. I would never dare do that, but some people do. This is where my perfectionism comes in. I always find that you just start tossing them on, they just don't ever end up right, so I kind of just end up placing them where I want them. Those are my perfectionism and OCD comes in. Just like to make sure we get them everywhere. I hate when pizza toppings are uneven. One of my favorite movie quotes, you guys, if you know this movie, is I want an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin. I want an even amount of toppings throughout my pizza. I don't want it all spaced out all over the place. Take some pineapples here. Now the pineapple's a little bit more tricky, so I do kind of just sprinkle them on. But again, that's kind of the fun part of this. This is your pizza. You do whatever you want with it. You do you. Just a few more. And we're just about done. Okay. Okay, that's our pizza. It's just about done. What I've got here is some oven mitts. I also have a cooling rack on top of a big block cutting board. We're gonna use this to cut it, but I want to put the pizza on the cooling rack first. That way, some air can, when it cools off, some air can flow underneath. If you just set it directly on to a surface, it'll probably be fine. Sometimes, because it's still hot, there's a lot of steam that can still come in and make the crust soggy. You want to make sure that you have that opportunity to keep the crust nice and crunchy. So, cooling rack if you have one. If you don't worry about it. Your pizza will be fine. As you can see, we've got two lovely pizzas right here. I know we had three, but my son gobbled up his before I could have a chance to get a good picture of it. So I got my wife's here cut up for her. I'm going to give mine a few minutes to cool before I cut into it. That's about a wrap on our episode. Just a few pointers, tips, reminders. You can make your own sauce. You can make a marinara like we did. You can make a makeshift sauce, which is easy to do. You can buy sauce in a jar at the store. No judgment. Most of your ingredients you can, like I said, you can buy the pre-shredded cheese. You can shred your own. All kinds of different ingredients. I love to sometimes put garlic on mine. Literally, the list of ingredients is virtually endless. But I think the one key thing, if you want to make pizza at home, make your own dough. It'll take probably a few times for you to perfect it, or at least to get it to a point where you enjoy it. But I think once you do, you'll find that it is far better than anything that you might get delivered to your door or go take out in most cases. Obviously, there's going to be some places around that do make a good pizza. In my opinion, most don't. And yes, I am a food snob, and I accept that. But again, with a little time and effort, you can make your own dough. You can make a nice, lovely pizza. And I wish everyone good luck, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.